You probably think memory loss is just part of aging, right? But actually, your brain is pulling off a bizarre trick that science is only beginning to understand. And it's weirder than you think. Let's get straight to it. Brain fog or brain smog, feeling foggy after 60. It's not just aging, it's your brain pulling off a weird energy-saving trick. That forgetfulness. It's actually intentional confusion, like your brain just said, yeah, no, we don't need to remember that. Imagine your brain as an old laptop running Windows XP. Once fast and flawless. Now it's stuck in power-saving mode, loading your thoughts like dial-up internet. You walk into a room, then stop mid-step. Why are you here again? Not because you forgot, but because your brain decided to prioritize. The sound of the dishwasher. According to a Columbia University study, this brain fog is caused by a communication breakdown between your prefrontal cortex, the boss, and your hippocampus, the memory vault. It's like your brain's management team stopped replying to emails. Here's the kicker. Your brain isn't getting dumber, it's getting picky. Selective memory becomes the norm. So instead of remembering your new neighbor's name, your brain holds on to the jingle from a 1982 detergent commercial. Efficient, debatable, hilarious. Definitely. This shift in processing makes the brain act like a tired intern, forgets meetings, skips steps, but somehow remembers useless trivia. Not dementia, just weird neuro-dash. Prioritizing. Bottom line. That foggy feeling isn't failure, it's your nervous system saying, not my job. And trust me, things are about to get even weirder. The shrinking hippocampus, your hippocampus, no. It's not a zoo for smart animals, is the region of your brain, responsible for turning short-term experiences into long-term memories. And after age 65, it starts to shrink, literally, like a t-shirt that keeps shrinking every time you wash it, except this one holds your life story. Now, shrinking doesn't mean it's vanishing into the void, but it does mean it's losing volume, efficiency, and overall processing power. Scientists at the University of California found that the average hippocampus can lose about 1% of its volume each year after midlife. That might not sound like much, but imagine if your phone lost 1% of screen size every year. You'd notice real fast when the icons start disappearing. Why is this important, Dick? Because this tiny brain region is your memory's main warehouse manager. It decides what gets stored and where. But with less floor space, your memories start piling up like an overstuffed closet. That's why Grandma sometimes calls you your cousin's name, or the dog's name. Her hippocampus is just doing its best with a labeling system that's going downhill. And no, this isn't just about age. Stress, poor sleep, and lack of movement can accelerate hippocampus shrinkage. Yes. Your brain is basically punishing you for binge-watching 3 seasons of cooking shows while sitting motionless on the couch. But here's the good news. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to grow new connections, still works in older adults. Think of it like this. If the warehouse is shrinking, you just need better shelves. Regular exercise, learning new things, and meaningful social interaction can slow or even reverse some of this decline. Seriously. Something as simple as dancing, learning Spanish, or arguing with your nephew about UFOs counts as brain exercise. So the next time you forget where your car keys are, just remember it might not be your fault. It's just your hippocampus, downsizing for early retirement. And this retirement plan, it only gets messier. Multitasking, more like multifailing. You ever try to make toast, answer a text, and find your glasses all at once only to end up texting the toaster and buttering your phone? Congratulations, you've just experienced age-related multitasking failure. And no, it's not you, it's your brain throwing in the towel. See. When you're younger, your brain can switch between tasks like a hyperactive DJ, fast, fluid, and borderline annoying. But, as you age, this mental DJ turns into a grumpy old vinyl player, slower to change, easier to scratch, and more likely to replay the same track again and again. Why does this happen? Scientists have found that with age, the prefrontal cortex, your brain's executive assistant, starts struggling to juggle. Its neurons fire slower, and connectivity drops. That's like trying to run 5 apps on a phone from 2009. The system crashes. And suddenly, you're staring at a spoon in the fridge wondering how it got there. And here's the ironic twist. Older brains try harder to multitask. Brain scans. Seniors show more activation across wider regions when multitasking. Basically, the brain calls in extra staff for a job it used to do solo. But instead of helping, this overcompensation just burns more fuel and slows everything down. Imagine 5 people trying to write one email together. Spoiler, it's chaos. Now, the solution isn't to try harder. It's actually the opposite. Do one thing at a time, and do it well. Mindful attention becomes your new superpower. Studies show that focused, sequential tasking can be more efficient and less stressful for aging brains. Sir, no, you're not becoming less capable. Your brain just wants to work smarter, not dumber. Here's a tip. Build in little rituals. When you enter a room, say out loud what you're doing. I'm here to get my keys. Sounds weird, maybe. But your brain loves a narrator. Bottom line, if you keep losing your glasses while they're on your head, don't blame memory loss. Blame your brain's personal assistant for going on a smoke break. Sleep isn't sleep anymore. Remember when a good night's sleep actually felt good? Now, it's more like closing your eyes for 7 hours and waking up feeling like you've been lightly assaulted by a gang of pillows. That's not just aging, it's your brain sabotaging its own sleep schedule. One REM cycle at a time. Here's the science. As you age, your slow-wave sleep, a deep sleep, gets shallower and shorter. That's the phase where your brain consolidates memories, cleans up mental junk, and basically Marie Kondos your thoughts. But for older adults, this phase becomes more like speed dating, quick, awkward, and mostly forgettable. Stanford researchers found that people over 65 spend up to 50% less time in deep sleep than younger adults. Instead, they bounce around in lighter stages of sleep, waking up more often, and never quite dipping into that juicy, restorative zone. It's like trying to charge your phone with a frayed cable. You wake up at 23% battery and pretend it's fine. And when your brain doesn't get that full system reboot, it skips the memory-saving process. It's like hitting save on your Word document, but the file never actually downloads. So yes, that's why you can remember your childhood phone number, but not what you had for lunch yesterday. But wait, it gets weirder. Your brain also loses sensitivity to melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate your sleep-wake cycle. So not only is your sleep fragmented, your internal clock is basically drunk and spinning in circles. This is why seniors often wake up at 4 a.m. and eat dinner at 4 p.m. Their circadian rhythm is running its own rogue schedule. So what can you do? Build a sleep fortress. Keep your room cool, dark, and tech-free. Cut caffeine and alcohol, yes, even that tiny glass of wine. Go to bed and wake up at the same time daily, even on weekends. Think of it like tricking your brain into believing it's young, again at least until it remembers. Your lower back pain. Bottom line, if your sleep feels like a broken Netflix, stream buffering, skipping, freezing, it's not you. It's your brain trying to nap with one eye open. The glucose misfire. You probably think of glucose as that sweet, sugary stuff your doctor tells you to avoid. But to your brain, glucose is premium fuel. And in older adults, something strange starts to happen. The fuel's still there, but the ninja forgets how to use it. Yep, your brain basically forgets how to eat. Here's the deal. Your brain uses about 20% of your body's glucose, even though it only makes up about 2% of your weight. It's a diva like that. But as you age, the brain's ability to metabolize glucose decreases, especially in memory-critical areas like the hippocampus and frontal lobes. That means energy isn't getting to the neurons that need it most. Imagine trying to run a microwave with a flickering power cord. Sparks fly. Nothing cooks. A study from the Mayo Clinic found that impaired glucose metabolism in the brain is closely linked to memory problems and even earlier stage Alzheimer's. So when your brain cells get hangry, they don't just complain, they forget. And don't think this is only about donuts and soda. Even if your blood sugar is normal, your brain's ability to process it may still be impaired. It's like having a fridge full of food but no key to open the door. Cue mental fog, fatigue, and where-are-my-pants moments. But here's the weird twist. Ketones, an alternate energy source your body produces when you fast or cut carbs, can sometimes bypass this problem. That's right, your brain might actually function better when it's hungry. Intermittent fasting and low-carb diets have shown promise in helping older brains fire on all cylinders again. Just don't tell your stomach it has opinions. Other ways to improve glucose metabolism. Regular aerobic exercise, walk like you're late for bingo. Balanced meals with healthy fats and fiber, toaster pastries. Managing insulin resistance, ask your doctor, not TikTok. So, the next time you walk into a room and forget why you're there, maybe it's not memory loss. Maybe your brain just ran out of gas halfway. Stress is the silent eraser. Picture this. Your brain is a well-organized library. Now imagine a hormone called cortisol waltzing in like a caffeinated raccoon, knocking over shelves, scattering books, and lighting a scented candle called anxiety. That, my friend, is what stress does to your memories, especially as you age. Cortisol is part of your body's fight-or-flight system, and in small doses, it's helpful. Like, oh no, a bear. Helpful. But chronic stress turns this life-saving hormone into a slow-burning memory destroyer. Over time, elevated cortisol levels shrink the hippocampus, your brain's memory habeas imago, and weaken the connections between neurons. Studies from Harvard Medical School have shown that high cortisol levels in older adults are directly linked to faster cognitive decline. Translation: stress doesn't just ruin your day, it erases it. Even worse, stress doesn't always come from dramatic life events. It can be sneaky, constantly misplacing your glasses again, trying to fix the TV with 4 remotes and zero hope, reading the news, any news. Your aging brain is more sensitive to these daily annoyances. It reacts more dramatically, holds on to anxiety longer, and takes more time to return to baseline. Think of it like an old car alarm, goes off at the tiniest bump and takes forever to shut up. So how do you fight this invisible eraser? You can't avoid stress entirely, but you can change how your brain responds to it. Techniques like deep breathing, meditation, and even yelling into a pillow, "Don't knock it till you try it," have all been shown to lower cortisol. Bonus points if you laugh at yourself afterward. Even a simple walk in nature, yes, even that weird little patch of grass behind your apartment can calm the nervous system and reduce cortisol levels. Your brain doesn't care if it's the Grand Canyon or the grocery store parking lot. It just wants birds and sunlight. Final thought: if you find yourself forgetting names, appointments, or what day it is, it might not be just getting older, Kate. It might be your brain desperately whispering, "Please chill." Memories stored in the wrong drawer. Ever walk into a room, forget why you're there, then suddenly remember something embarrassing you did in 1994? Congratulations, your brain just opened the wrong drawer. And no, it's not broken. It's just reorganizing badly. You see, your brain doesn't store memories like labeled folders in a filing cabinet. It's more like a chaotic sock drawer full of mismatched timelines, weird smells, and random facts you never asked for. As you age, the system gets even messier. Not because it's dying, but because it's reindexing in a way that would give Google a nervous breakdown. Here's the twist. Older adults often retain older memories more vividly than newer ones. That's because the neural pathways tied to long-term memory, like your childhood phone number or your wedding song, are well-worn and frequently revisited. Newer memories, however, don't always get properly tagged and stored in the right spots, especially if you're sleep-deprived, stressed, or watching reality TV while eating a burrito. Research from the University of Toronto shows that memory errors in seniors are often due to misplacement, not deletion. The memory is there, it's just in the wrong place. Like storing your car keys in the fridge. Not gone, just ... chilling. Even more bizarre. Emotional memories, especially negative ones, tend to linger. So while you might forget what you had, for lunch, your brain has no problem reminding you of that one awkward thing you said at a wedding 12 years ago, because why not? But there's hope. Memory retrieval cues can help guide your brain to the right drawer. Things like smells, music, photos, and even routines can act like little GPS signals to help find what you're looking for. Want to remember where you left your phone? Think back to what music was playing when you last saw it. No, seriously. It works, so don't panic when you forget names or why you walked into the garage holding a banana. Your memories aren't gone. They're just busy playing hide-and-seek. Social isolation is brain starvation. Imagine your brain as a party animal. It thrives on conversations, awkward hugs, and gossip about people you barely know. But when you isolate it, no phone calls, no visits, no arguing about who left the light on, your brain doesn't just get lonely. It gets hungry. Starved, actually. Social interaction isn't just about feeling good, it's a full-blown neural workout. When you talk to someone, even if it's just about the weather or how overpriced cereal has become, your brain lights up like a Christmas tree. Language processing, emotional regulation, memory retrieval, facial recognition, it's all firing. Every chat is like CrossFit for your neurons. Now, remove that stimulus. No visitors, fewer phone calls, skipped events. Slowly, your brain goes into hibernation mode. Areas like the prefrontal cortex and temporal lobe, critical for memory and communication, start to atrophy. That's a fancy way of saying they get rusty. Like a treadmill you only used once. A landmark study from Brigham Young University found that loneliness increases the risk of cognitive decline by 40%. That's on par with smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Yep, staying socially disconnected might be worse for your brain than lighting up a Marlboro. Even worse, loneliness and memory loss feed each other. As you forget more names and stories, you might withdraw from social settings to avoid embarrassment. That withdrawal increases loneliness, which worsens memory. Congratulations! You've unlocked the world's most depressing feedback loop. But here's the good news. You don't need to host a TED Talk. Simple, consistent interactions make a difference. Chat with the cashier. Call your cousin, who always overshares. Join that weird bird-watching group your neighbor keeps mentioning. Even small talk counts. It's not about the content, it's about the connection. Your brain doesn't care if you're solving world peace or debating whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It just wants company. Bottom line. The human brain wasn't built for silence. So if your memory feels foggy, maybe it's not just age, it's your neurons screaming, "Can we please talk to someone?" Hearing loss equals thinking loss. So here's a weird one. Losing your hearing can actually mess with your memory. Not because your ears store memories, they don't. But because when your ears check out, your brain kinda gives up on trying. Yep, bad hearing makes your brain lazier. Let's break it down. When you have hearing loss, your brain has to work overtime just to decode sounds. What used to be, "Oh, my grandson is telling me about his science fair," turns into, "Is he saying science or silence? Car, lions." Your brain starts burning cognitive fuel just trying to figure out what was said, leaving less energy to store or even understand it. Johns Hopkins researchers found that older adults with even mild hearing loss were significantly more likely to develop cognitive decline. Why? Because if your brain is constantly playing a game of audio charades, it stops recording new memories efficiently. It's too busy guessing what just happened to save it for later. And here's the catch. Most people don't even notice the hearing loss right away. It's gradual, sneaky, and often brushed off as people just mumbling these days. Meanwhile, your brain is screaming, "Help me. I can't even hear the mumbling." Plus, less hearing often leads to less socializing. If you can't follow conversations easily, you start avoiding them. And remember what we said about social isolation. Now you've got double trouble, less input and less interaction. Basically, your brain is sitting in a dark, quiet room wondering why no one visits there anymore. The fix? Simple. Get your hearing checked. Seriously. Hearing aids today are tiny, smart, and way less embarrassing than yelling "what" during a funeral or a movie. They don't just help you hear, they help you think. By restoring clear auditory input, your brain can stop guessing and start processing again. So if your memory seems fuzzy, and everyone around you sounds like a mumbling potato, don't assume you're losing your mind. It might just be your ears filing for early retirement. It's not all doom, just weird, okay? Deep breath. After all this talk about shrinking brain parts, memory glitches, and your neurons acting like tired interns, you might think aging is one long, slow cognitive nosedive. But here's the plot twist. Your older brain isn't broken. It's just getting creative. See, while certain things do decline with age, like reaction time, multitasking, and remembering where you left your other cognitive abilities catch-all improve. Older adults tend to be better at pattern recognition, emotional regulation, and making nuanced decisions. In other words, your brain might forget where the remote is, but it knows not to text your ex. Growth. Psychologists call this the wisdom paradox. Even as raw memory and speed fade, insight and emotional intelligence often bloom. Your brain starts to think in bigger picture terms. Less "what did I eat for breakfast?" and more "why does breakfast even matter?" It sounds funny, but it's real. Older brains tend to default to meaning, not just information. Neuroscience backs this up. Functional MRI scans show that aging brains often activate both hemispheres to complete tasks that younger brains do with just one. Basically, your brain goes full teamwork mode, like an old jazz band where everyone knows their part. It might not be flashy, but it works. And yes, the reorganizing can be frustrating. You'll forget names. You'll tell the same story twice. You'll walk into a room and forget why you're there, but also suddenly remember the name of your 5th grade teacher and her weird parrot named Steve. That's not decline, kutas. That's your brain playing jazz. The key. Stop judging your brain by how it performed at 25. That was a different model. Now it's less sports car and more Swiss Army knife. Adaptable-wise, occasionally hard to open. So no, your brain isn't dying yet, remodeling. It's ditching the fast food of shallow memory for the slow roast of long-term wisdom. And sure, the process looks weird. But weird doesn't mean broken. That's all for today. I'll be making more videos like this soon. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed it.